Welcome back to another episode of the Ben and Bergs podcast. I'm Ben, your favourite high school dropout and founder of Collective Shift. Alongside me is Bergs, your favourite MBA and CEO of Collective Shift. We're here to bring you world-class crypto research, strategies and insights to help you crush this crypto bull market. Plus get an exclusive behind-the-scenes look as we scale Australia's leading crypto research company. And we're in Perth today in person. We've got an absolutely special guest, Ando. He's a successful businessman running a multi-million-dollar business portfolio, including Tech XL AI Studio. He's also Bergs' mentor in the Entrepreneurs Organisation Forum and now runs Business by Design, where he mentors a bunch of business owners based on 7 key principles, emphasising personal experience and accountability. He's also helped us a lot in our own business, Collective Shift, and we know you're going to absolutely love today's show. So, Ando, thanks for finding the time, man.
Thank you for having me.
We're a little bit delayed getting in the studio, so we had a free strategy session out at the foyer. That was great.
Yeah, exactly. And surprisingly, we weren't delayed because of you, Ben. So it was amazing. It's like
we nearly were. But
we had a slight delay, like 10 minutes, but that's all right. We're in the studio now, and I've wanted to do this for a while, Ando.
Okay.
Because you're a very fascinating person to me. You've mentored me for at least like the last 2.5 years through EO and now Business by Design. And the most interesting thing for me is just your approach, and in business, how you have in life, you have your shit together.
Okay.
So, like, I've never met a guy that has as many businesses as you do, does as much as you do, but is very calm, has time freedom, has wealth, spends time with his family. And every time I talk to you, it just liberates me further to want more of that. And seriously, it is incredible because it is quite rare for me. And I gain more and more insights from you. Mm-hmm. And I think a nice starting point would be, how did you kind of get to this point in your life?
Okay. So let's go back to when I first started my business in late 2004. So I started my business, similar to a lot of businesses that is just chasing the revenue, working really hard, thinking that the harder I work, the more revenue I'm gonna get, the more I can provide for my family, and then it's only until 2016 where I crashed my business. So it's where prior to that, it's all about ego, right? So how big is my revenue? I should expand from Perth to Melbourne to Malaysia. And I should look really, really good. And it's all about continued expansion. So when 2016 was a wake-up call because I expanded the business too fast without solid foundation. So we were in Melbourne, we were in Malaysia. And that year, we burned maybe about $500,000 in 2 offices. And thinking that the Perth office will be able to support it. So you're basically robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of stuff. Situation, right? Yeah. And then we end up sending the best guys to Melbourne, who is the new kid in town who doesn't know anything, doesn't know anybody, right? So we thought that we open shop, people will show up, and that was like a very, very
naive
business thinking, right? So I crashed the business, and I came back to Perth. I was like, shit, we barely have enough money to survive. I need to rethink about this whole damn thing, this whole business thing, right? This whole business model that I was taught from my parents, from business school, is all bullshit. It's we need to reset this whole business. So I was fortunate enough that because I was in EO for, at the time, maybe about 3 years, and I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs who grow their business really big, and the more time they have. And I remember talking to one and said, hey, how do you do it? He said, look, Ando, the thing is that what do you want to achieve out of your life? I was like, I don't know. I just want to run this business, and what's the exit strategy? What exit strategy?
Right? Don't I just go to work and everything happens?
Yeah, just make enough money. He said, life is more than making enough money. Life is that the bigger your business are, you should have more time. I was like, that define logic, right? We're told to work hard when we grow up, and the parents say work hard, get a good life. He said, look, good life doesn't need hard work. Good life needs smart work. You need to work smarter. So he gave me a bit of that, and I came back. I was like, that sounds quite about right. So I was in my office one night trying to rescue the business. I was like, shit, what if it's right? So maybe I should start thinking differently. So that was the big thing. I was like, I'm going to reset this entire business. I always say the business basically had a heart attack. I just had to resuscitate cut my losses, and rebuild this business, because at that point I need to rebuild this business totally from what I was taught. I need to unlearn all the business strategy and business models. And I'm going to relearn it. I'm going to build this. So the first thing was, I can save this business, okay? But I want to make sure that this business is not going to tie me down. It's going to give me the freedom to do what I want to do. So when I started to create my vision about what is this business going to be like in the next 10 years. All right. So at what point I'm going to come out of the business? At what point, who's going to come in? Who's going to run this business? What revenue is going to turn up? And I was talking to a friend of mine. He said, "Ando, you're crazy. You are in this crisis, and yet you're rather than trying to think how to save it, you're looking at all the upside, right?" I was like, yeah, but you have to look at the upside in order to rebuild an entire business, right? Not crying at one corner and think that everything is oh shit, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you have to change the way you think. So that was a mindset shift moment. And when I start to map out all this, what I want to do, how retirement is going to be like, it's all become clearer and clearer. And so it's kind of like looking at 10 years from now, what I want to do today, what I need to do today to build that. So it's a reverse engineering. And then I started to say, all right, so I think we got rid of about half the team just to keep the business going. And then we rebuilt that from scratch.
This is like our business as well. We had the oh shit moment.
Yeah.
That was with our finances. I think you had a similar one with we went to EO and you do cash day and then you look at oh shit. And then you kind of cut down your team and you start to build a strong foundation from there.
But I think to your point, Ando, like starting at the end and then reverse engineering it, like listeners to this podcast, there might be business owners, there might be crypto investors, whatever, setting your goals and figuring out where you want to end up. We went through this process a couple of years ago and I was like, oh, fuck, okay, this is a bit different. Like 3 years ago, I was like, I want to build $1 billion company. And then that was just this ego, right? Talking. When you really figure it out. And like, how did you figure out what you wanted? Like, what was that process?
For me, it was the fact that it becomes the arrangement of your life. So initially, when I started my business, was like business first, family, then me. Mm-hmm. Then I rearranged the whole damn thing to be is Ando, family, business. Mm. Because if I can't look after myself well, I can't look after my family. Mm. If my family can't look after my family well, I can't look after my business. Because you don't want to go home every day and your wife yell at you. Then how are you going to bring, or there's not enough money in the business to fund all these things, then you're under a lot of stress. Mm. But if I look after myself, my well-being is good, I can think. That's why I'm a business owner. We're all business owners because we are capable. But we want to make sure that the family is looked after, so that when you go to work, there's no stress coming from the family aspects of it. Mm. Then you can perform really well, because you are healthy, you are good, your family is happy that you go to work, and then you can 100% focus on the business. Whereas I've seen a lot of businesses was that they focus on the business a lot. Yeah. They neglect their family, they neglect themselves. All of a sudden, I was there before. I was 110 kilos. I was absolutely unfit, right? Mm. When you're unfit, you're lazy. You're like every day is just, and then you don't bring the energy to the business. Yeah, everything just fall apart, right? Mm. So to me, it was look after myself, get myself right, get my family right, business will come, and then revenue will come. Everything will come along the way. So that was how I rearranged a few. This one of the major rearrangement. So then I was like, okay, I need to be disciplined. I know the EO event can be crazy. Sometimes you come back with your pump, right? We need to be focused on what we are doing. What are we good at doing? What am I good at doing? What I need to focus. So I basically told my wife, I said, every time my wife and I had a 3-year agreement. Every 3 years, I said, if this business doesn't work out, I'll go and find myself a job. So there's a renewal for every 3 years. Right? And to the reason why she said, don't even renew this thing because nobody will hire you because you end up telling your boss what to do, right? It's like, yeah, fair enough. So because I set that as the benchmark to say that if I can't succeed in this business, I'll find myself a job. So there is a commitment to the family where to draw the line. Because a lot of business, we don't draw the line. Mm. We say, yeah, I'll be fine, we'll be fine, And the other commitment in the family aspects of it was the fact that I promised myself that I told my team, at that point, once we rebuilt the business, I said, I'm going to work from 9:30 to 2:30. You're like, why? It's because I want to drop my son off at school. I come to work at 9:30 and 2:30 I want to pick him from school. Non-negotiable. So when I set my non-negotiable in my business and I promise what I'm going to deliver in my family, that is sorted,
Yeah.
right? And when that is sorted, then it's easy. So when I myself is sorted, my family is sorted, I can focus on the business and rebuild this whole thing. And when my team knows that you don't see Ando after 2:30, it's okay. Keep moving, right? Yeah.
This is so important, especially when you're an entrepreneur, when you're starting a business. There's this beautiful Naval quote. It's like, you want to fix the world, but your family is broken. You need to look after your family first and yourself.
Correct.
And just there as well, like putting in constraints are so helpful. And if your team knows those constraints and you don't go out of them, because like Ben and I, always like, just go a bit more, go a bit further, extra hours, just keep going for the business. And that's not really helpful to us, and it's not helpful to the business either.
It's interesting though, Ando, like when you first started, did you already have a wife and kids, your business?
We just got married.
Okay,
Yeah.
Because I find it's like not having kids, I've got a girlfriend, but I don't live with her. I've got all this time and I love what I do. So I nearly feel as though it's like a competitive advantage that I have competing with other people that have kids and a family and like responsibility. They have, obviously family is super important and it is for me too, but also I don't have that yet.
Yeah.
Has it changed over time for you? Like when you first started out, was it a lot of hours? Was it,
Yeah, it was a lot of hours when I first started.
Do you think you could have done what you've done today without doing that in the early days?
Explain that again?
So like I like this idea of being able to like leave at 2:30, like man, I'm all for it. Like and we speak about that's where we want to get to. But in the start, when you're just starting out in the business, I feel as though that's, for me anyway, it was not the case. It was like you're grinding every day.
I think there is a point that you need to set. If I were to redo again, there's a point that you say, okay, I'm going to slot through the next 5 years, but not slot through the next 15 years or 20 years. Because a lot of business people owner around my age, they do that for the last 20 years. It's like, hey, when are you going to, step out? When are you going to let your team run it? No, I'm still going to run it. I'm still needed in the office, right? So I think it's important. If I were to tell myself in my 2004 self, I'll say, look, set a benchmark like 5 years.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about family, like yourself, you only have a girlfriend, but doesn't mean just only that. You still got your parents.
Yeah.
You need to spend a bit, as you get older, you want to spend more time with them. So those things has to come into the mix, because ultimately part of the business by design is that it's important that what I mentor is that you need to free yourself to enjoy the fruit of your labor, not getting stuck in there in your business. So one of the key thing was in business by design was the fact that I am not the business. The business is not me.
It's hard.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people become the business.
His identity, your entire identity is tied to the business.
I'm great. If we have a shit month, life sucks.
Yeah. So when I learned to detach myself from the business,
And how'd you do that? Sorry to interrupt. How did you do that? Because I think that is super hard.
it is a conscious effort.
Yeah.
So conscious effort means that first thing I thought about my son, I'm going to pick him from school. And I told my team that every school holidays, you might not see me.
Yeah.
All right? And most of the stuff, you guys should be able to deal with it. So a lot of dedication. So a lot of self-awareness that said, you are the best person to do it. You do it. I'm not doing this.
You're listening to
I'm not getting it wrong. So when I start to do that, I start to detach myself from the business. I'm not emotionally attached to the business anymore. And also one of the biggest thing was the fact that I come to realization, or I have to tell myself, is this what I want? Is the fact that if I lost my business today, are you okay? The answer is yes, it's fine. That was the aha moment. So, okay, once you can prepare to lose your business, you're no longer attached to your business anymore. You look at it as another project rather than that's my life, that's my identity, that's me, I'm the business. That detachment is very, and the beauty of that, having to come to that realization and have that moment, my business has scaled like almost 3x since the day I make that call. And it's now like, today the IT business, the iQuest business, the guys bring in almost 100% of the revenue. I don't. That's why now I can focus on the AI business. I can focus on other opportunities as well, because I'm a bit of an entrepreneur who I don't like to do one business. Having one business is boring. I like to have more businesses. So I like to I call it I like to build. I treat all my business like ATM machines. I don't want to just one ATM machine. I just like to build multiple business, multiple revenue stream, and that's where I find the fun of it.
Oh, so when you've removed yourself from the business, you see it as a project, you don't attach your identity. Does that make it a lot easier to make the hard decisions in the business and get it to where it actually needs to go?
Because you are no longer attached as by emotion. Your decision is not emotionally driven. It's very logically driven. It's very calculated risk that you're taking, and then you are able to sell some of the equity to your business partner, so that they can take it further for you together. All right. So, and that was at the point where when I rebuilt this business, I need to get the foundation of the business right. The 7 essentials that I talk about, the business by design, is that what are the core foundation on this thing? I'm going to build this building block so that every business that I'm involved, I give them this building block, I can step up. So all the business I'm involved now is that I'm building that building block, get the people, get the structure, get everything right. I walk away, that business is done. I no longer get involved anymore. I'm still the chair of the group, but I don't need to get involved in the day-to-day stuff.
So would you say the incentivization of equity is the reason the business continues to grow and scale? Because I think we do that within our business, but I've seen other businesses where the leader steps away and everyone starts to relax and they're not as driven because the leader's not there anymore.
And I just want to add to this as well, because Harry said, he's from YPO, he said, do you want to be rich or do you want to be king? Because you can't be both. And this kind of feeds into your management by design philosophy.
Yeah. So, you see, ultimately, few things. Getting the right business partner is critical. So, I'm very fortunate because a lot of my current business partner went through that 2016 crisis with me. So, and because they went through with me, they learned how we rebuilt this entire business. The entire business rebuild wasn't just me. It's the whole, everybody go through the trenches together, right? When they go through the trenches together, what happened is that they understand the business. So all I do was I teach them the management part, all the EO learning, all the business strategies in there. Then they become better. So they can take the business to the next level without me. And the other part is, for me, is important is because if my business provide me with the wealth at the time, it's only good for them to use the same thing for their own families and their own wealth creation. So there's always a cycle. So what we are trying to do is we're building generations. So the iQuest, there's a book by Jim Collins called Built to Last. Built to Last is about when you build a business, you need to look at the second generation. Who is taking over this generation? You're going to build the third generation. So we are now building a third generation of people that will eventually take over the second generation. Because I'm going to come out of iQuest in the next 5 to 8 years. And they have to be ready. So there's a lot of tests in there, in the whole thing, right? Like I say, now they're bringing 100% of the revenue. So they know how to run a business without me. I can go away for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I got no emails these days. I don't have to. So when the business, and then that's where we call it the legacy. If you want to build a legacy, you need to build a business that lasts forever. Who owns it doesn't matter. It's no longer the ego part, right? I built this way. Look at me. But when you go off, everything collapses like shit. And also, you also have to remember the staff that worked with you for the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, when you disappear and the business goes down, what are they going to do? They're going to find a job again? They might be too old to find a job. So when we start to think about that, is that you need to think about the people that work with you. How you can look after them. Have I explained that question?
That's good. That's a good answer.
That's spot on, because you want those people that have come up with you, they have agency. And I like the idea of building an enduring business.
Yeah.
Like, that is so important. A lot of people don't think about that. And what you're effectively doing as well is also building people, making them wealthy along the way if you need to exit at some point in time.
Correct. And my aim is that they must make enough money to buy me out. So I incentivize all my business partners, make the money, I'll share profit share with you so that you can buy me out. There's no point that when we are so big, then you can't afford to buy me out. But then what's the point, right?
How amazing. You don't have to go to market. You don't have to do all that bullshit.
Yeah, we don't have to do all the evaluation, all the crap. It's like,
guys, I'm going to leave in 6 months.
yeah. Do you want it? You know?
What do you do with, like, in terms of reinvesting versus diversification? Like, how do you think about that as a business as you're growing? You're spinning off profits. Are you reinvesting them back in the business, or it's to a point where you've achieved your goals? And then where do you diversify? Is it into new businesses? Are you investing into assets?
Yeah, we have an investment arm in our business.
Yep.
That we invest in crypto, bonds, shares, and everything else there's under that. And this is where the profit goes in there. And that pool of money is shared among the business partners. Yeah. So for me, is that if anybody want to come and go on the ride with me, you'll be looked after.
So you're investing off the balance sheet into...
Or any profit that we make,
Yeah.
we keep some for our cash, working capital.
Yeah.
The rest we push into investment in others, or we invest in our new AI business. We invest in that, and then we start off from there.
And have you got business partners in each business, or just...
At the moment, yes, there are all my two business partners at the moment is across all the businesses that we start up.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so you're in for all.
Yeah.
I like that.
And are you like, I describe Bergs and I as yin and yang in a sense of like, we're very complementary, very different, but it works. Is that the same with you? And
it's the same.
What's your superpower?
My superpower is that I look at opportunity and I know how to scout it. So I look at opportunity from a different perspective, and I know how to scout talent. So I don't hire people, I scout talent. Because when I want to put a team together for this new business, I know who I'm looking for. Because of my network and all my connection, I know if somebody leave this company, I'll pick him up because I'll have a project for him, a lineup already.
All right, let's get on to talent and scouting. And two stories that stick in my mind that you've told me is, one, you scouted a guy at a restaurant that served you, and another one was training up new students to come through and go through your business.
Yeah.
Fascinating pipelines. Can you tell us a bit about those?
So the restaurant guy is because I'm looking for someone who has customer service.
He works in IT business, by the way. He got served at a restaurant.
Yeah. For me,
it's always scouting.
For me in the IT business, it's not about how good you are as an engineer. It's how good is your soft skill. I always say when we hire IT people, I want 80% is soft skill. How do you talk to your client rather than your skill set? Because the skill set, I can pick anybody from the street, I can interview. But having a good skill set and you can't talk to the client, you're nerdy to the client's not going to hang around. Right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's more important is that your personality, your how you manage diffuse situation, and calm the clients down. That's more important than your skill set. So that was what I'm looking for. All right. And again, when we bring the student coming in, again, we are building new generation of employees. So what we did was that, so we had something like a school-based training program. We started last year. We bring in about, I think, 5 to 6 students in. So what happens is that when we bring all these students in, they have an interest in IT. They might not know what they want to do. So we give them the exposure of, hey, these are something you might want to try. And what we're trying to do is also that we bring someone kids who have they're like a sponge. You teach them, they will learn.
Yeah.
You tell them this is how we're going to do it, they will learn. Rather than hiring some experienced people coming in and say, I used to do this in my previous workplace. Yeah. I used to do this then it messes up your team culture. So we bring these kids in and we train them. And out of 5, I think, 3 of them, we rehire them back. We said, look, when you finish year 12, you don't want to do anything, you want a job, you let us know. Because what happens is that through that 1-year program, they understand how we work, what is the requirement, what's the performance requirement, what's the value in our business, what's the culture in our business. So it's easier rather than trying to hire someone straight away and try to fit your culture. It takes a long time.
I remember so I did the key executive program in EO, and it'd be 6 or so business owners and Ando mentoring us, and 90% of the problems that we would bring there were always people problems.
Yeah.
And I know you focused a lot on your culture, your values, and how do you go about hiring the right people? And we talk about how do you know you got the right people on the bus, and what is your job as, you know, the leader and managing director there? How do you get it right?
So I don't do the interview anymore, but I used to do it. So but my team know what I'm looking for. So I normally, when someone want to apply for a job, my guys will filter through all the skill sets and everything, right? They will do that. And to me, I'm the last guy to sign off, right? So I interview the guy. I basically tell them how sucks the job is. Okay? This is what I expected of you. When you have a project due on Friday, I expect you to finish on Friday, not Monday. If there's something we need to work on the weekend, I want you to work on the weekend. I don't care. So what I'm trying to tell the person is that this is the expectation of your job. If you sign up, you sign up. You know what you sign up. I'm not painting a nice picture. Oh, you're going to get this. You're going to get promoted to this in 5 years, 3 years. I'm not going to paint this rosy picture. I'm going to tell you that this is how this job is expected of you. We might not have the work weekend. That's great. But we have to. You better show up. So when I tell you all these things and you sign up, there's no more argument that you didn't tell me in the DVD I had to work overtime. It's like I told you already. So we nut out all this crap from before they sign up. So that has been one of the best things that we do that. Because I'm not going to sugarcoat. No, I'm not trying to entice you to join me. I actually tell you, don't join me. It sucks. Okay? But you sign up. You know what you sign up for, right? So that was one of the whole strategy about hiring the right people. Because when the people sign up, they want to know what they sign up for, and I want to be very frank about it. And of course, we have our value wall that's printed at the back of our office. Everybody can look at this value wall, and our office is an open plan, so that if anybody hears someone is not saying the right thing to the client, we'll say, hey, that's not the way to do it. You need to do it this way. So we train on the spot. Yeah, and the last thing is that we don't really care if people want to leave. Because you are either in the team or you're not in the team.
I remember you said, you told us, you just like, if anyone wants to quit, you tell them day one. You just bring me a CV, your resignation letter, and off you go. That's it.
Yeah. We don't, because at the end of the day, if your heart is not there, your mind is not in the office, you don't want to work for us, then it's cutting losses on each both sides, right?
Yeah.
Why are you suffering here? Why am I suffering here? Having the bad issue, right? We might just part it. It's easy, right?
And I remember you saying, like when people rock up to your office to work, they decide, is it going to be a challenging day or a shit day? If it's shit, you go home.
Yeah.
But as business owners, we beat each other up beat ourselves up so much about, this person, if I have to get rid of them, what's going to happen? And there's going to be a hole in my business. And
yeah. And there's always people waiting to take the job. It's just how much you want to pay, right? There's always people applying for roles if you have one vacancy. So it's okay to have people coming in and out of your organization, because the right person will come in and elevate your business. The wrong person that stick around is going to slow you down. So I always say there's something called cancer in the office. You got to be careful. Who are the guys, are the cancer cell in the organization, in your team? Because they will complain every damn thing, right? No matter what you do, they're going to complain, right? Then they could affect the people in the team. And not everybody is very mentally strong. Some are like, oh yeah, it's true. What he said is true. I can see this thing. Then they start to infest your entire organization. To me, it was cut it loose early.
Yeah.
And the analogy I always say, if you go to see a skin doctor, they say, hey, there's a mole here, potentially cancer. You tell them, cut it now. I don't want to make another appointment, right?
Yeah.
But in business, we don't. We keep them around. We have it's nice, okay. We can performance measure. They will change. It's like, if you can't change your wife, do you expect you can change your stuff?
That is so good. The bullshit we tell ourselves.
It's okay.
It's the hard decision, right, though? Like, you don't want to make the hard call because you know the pain you're going to have to go through.
Yeah.
But the hardest decisions are usually the best outcomes.
Correct. Yes, we end up more shit we have to carry, more work we have to do. But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a short-term pain, right?
Ando told us, like, if you got to fire like one of your guys, like, yeah, if it's at a top level, you might have to eat shit for a couple of months, do a bit more work, but in the end, it's going to be better.
You let go a lot of people in our business, and I think the hardest ones have always been the best decisions because I think back to the values piece. What the values does is if you've got a bunch of A graders, it's very clear who is not A grader.
Correct.
And they're sort of self-selecting when you've got such a high-performing team. Is that the underperformers just aren't there?
Sticks out like a sore thumb, and you're right about like. Infecting like a cancer, they form cliques and they start to bring other people down. Yeah. Even some good people want to leave because they won't want to work with a person like that.
Correct.
I think just one sort of point I want to make, and again, listeners that aren't business owners and more just here for the crypto, I think this idea of like burying your head in the sand is so comparative to people in crypto that have these investments that they don't want to sell. They just want to hope it's going to come back, but you've got to make the decision. You've got to make the call, and you've got to move on from these things that you hope would play out. Sometimes it didn't, whether it's employees, investments, whatever. You've got to move on because it can just drag everything behind.
Correct. Correct. And I wrote a blog about 2 blogs about dead horse theory, right? And sometimes it's a dead horse. It's a dead horse. There's no point trying to flog it. Yeah. Sometimes it's cut your losses and move on, right?
It's so great. Okay, so everyone, Ando has this business by design. Go and sign up to his newsletter. It's amazing. And it's like a dead horse. He's like, oh, let's do this project. Let's do this. Like, let's feed the dead horse. It's like the horse is dead. Why are you still doing this? Like, you're so stupid. And that's so right. Like we do that with projects or deals or people, and we delude ourselves. And I think back to your earlier point about removing yourself from the business, the identity, and I have to be this, I have to succeed, I have to do that, makes those decisions a lot easier along the way.
Yeah, correct. And ultimately, you have to be content with happy with where you are.
Yeah.
I always say in Asia we have or in Singapore and Malaysia we have a lot of the rich guys wear slippers and wear in singlet. They are the guys who have lots of cash. They will go. Not whereas the guy who dressed the most posh actually are the poorest people. Yeah. So I seen it when I grew up. It's in Asia. I was like, these are the rich guy who just quietly being rich, right?
Yeah.
So rich doesn't mean rich is a big definition for me. If I'm rich, if I have my family intact, my business intact, and like a lot of time for myself and explore a lot of opportunity, that's riches. That's rich in its own way. It's not by how much wealth you have, right? Yeah.
Exactly right, and that's a lot of the time. Like wealth is what you don't see, Like it's not the fancy cars. It's not all that cars. That's not rich. That's most of the time. It's actually debt. I remember you showed us like at one of your, I think it was at one of your breakfasts. You had like was it a Venn diagram of 3 things with time, experience, and wealth
and health
Yeah. Can you take us through that, because that kind of frames up how you think about these things?
Okay, so it's more like a triangle, right? If every triangle, if you have a balanced triangle between wealth, health, and time, it's symmetrical. It's symmetrical. Yeah. Right. But if something is skewed, if you have the time, you have the wealth, you don't have the time, and the health to spend, then what's the point of wealth? You can't take it when you die, right? And if you are sick all day long, so what if you so there's a friend of mine who got a heart attack recently, and really, I really feel bad for him. Okay, he has his insurance payout, but he doesn't have the health to use the money. All right, because every time he's drugged out, and he has heavily medicated, and he can't fly.
Yeah,
because his heart was, I think, left with 30% capacity. He can't fly, so he's stuck in Perth. Lots of money. He can't ride motorbike that he enjoy.
Yeah. Because
the vibration, he has a problem.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter you have $20 million in the bank, but you don't have the health to spend it. Then what are you going to do? You just sit at home every day. That's why I heard he slept 10 hours a day, because he doesn't have the energy.
Yeah.
So what's the point, right? So, and if you have the wealth, but you don't have the time, then somebody's going to spend your money.
Is this the thing where like the husband's always at work and the wife can't have a relationship with him, so she has one with his money instead?
Just
or vice versa. Right?
Yeah. Someone will spend your money, right?
Yeah.
All the LV bags and all the Hermes bags, someone had to spend them.
This is a key point of difference between, I think, me and a lot of my friends. A lot of them out earn me, right? but they don't have the time freedom that I have. And they don't get to spend time with their families or spending that money, and they actually have quite a low enjoyment in life. And we were talking at a cafe recently, like the level of time freedom you have at your age is rare. The time freedom I have is like very rare. And with you, it's probably like ultra rare. Like you can kind of do what you do a lot in the business, but this is one of the key things as well. You do need wealth because you need some money to spend, and you do need your health as well to be able to enjoy it. But time freedom is just such a key thing in lifestyle design.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I meant at the start when I said every time I see you, it liberates me, because I can just go up, man. I'm like, what are you doing? Can you come for a podcast? Yeah, no worries. Like you've got the flexibility and the time to have that serendipity and do what you want to do in your life.
Correct. And I think the fact that that was a few years ago, I learned to respect time a lot. Because I'm not going to, I focus my time on the high value activities that give me the best outcome. So, and one of the things that I do is that, okay, I'm worth $500 an hour. Should I cut the lawn? Hell no. Get someone to do it. $200 an hour. He can do it. You can do that. Should I clean the house? No, get someone to do it. Because it's gonna take me 2 hours to clean the house. You get $1,000. Let's get some lady to do it for $80 an hour. 4 hours. I'm still up. So when I start to elevate those kind of things, right, to measure those kind of things, am I the best person to do this job? No, I'll pay someone to do this job. Because then my time is free up to do more important stuff, high value activity like business advisor, helping businesses grow and things like that, and catching up with you guys, learning from what other people is doing. When I start consciously aware of those things, I free up a lot of time.
Yeah.
Because I know where my time is best used and best spent. Yeah.
I believe that 100%. I think that's like, for a lot of people, maybe hard to wrap your head around because you kind of like dollar in, dollar out. But if you think about the opportunity cost, right? Like, having an EA, oh my God, like all the basic shit that I don't have to deal with anymore. So I can focus on, I'm not good at much, but the thing I am good at,
there's good self-awareness.
But the thing I am good at makes us a hell of a lot of money. So the more time I can spend on that and not all the other stuff, by having a cleaner, by having an EA, by having, a cook or whatever that thing is, and I can spend more time on that, that's going to return so much more than me doing all the other shit.
And even in your business, it's using yourself for your highest utility. Just because you work, let's say, 40 hours a week, and this is not just C-level, this is all your employees, this is what I need you to do. Don't fill it with other shit that I don't need you to do. Don't go off and create new things. Just do that. Even if you do less time, go play PlayStation. I don't care. Just do those things.
Yeah. Correct. And that's the thing, because for my time in I'm the chair of the group, right, of the business. My time is networking. My time is catching up with people for coffees and lunch. And I'm sure you heard about. One of my KPI is I need to have 5 coffees a week
with new people, or
with
just someone,
whoever, right, with
like
someone,
that.
right?
That's cool.
So this is in mind. So every 2 weeks I had to organize. Like this week, Monday I had to organize who is going to catch up next week and the week after, because that's my KPI. But because this is activity, normally we will not end up with 5. We'll end up with 6, 7, because sometimes we got long lunch and everything else. But this is what I'm good at doing.
That's your superpower, right?
That's my superpower. That's my opportunity. I'm not good at fixing all the IT issues. Like I can't even fix myself. I was like, guys, can you fix this? I can't work on this one. Because that's where I'm good at, and my superpower, and where I best spend my time. Right? So that becomes critical. And when I travel to EO event in Asia and whatever, because it's for me to build that network. Right? So I think that's important, because if we get so stuck into the day-to-day stuff, you're actually stopping your business from growing.
The idea of value stacking is something I learned from Dora, the CEO, and this idea of like the more valuable you are in a certain skill set, and also if you can be valuable in multiple skill sets and stack that on top of each other, that's what pays the most ROI in terms of delivery to to the world, right? So the better you can be at something, usually that's going to be more beneficial for you in work, whether it's sales, whatever. But if you can value stack and be good at IT, be good at meeting people, be good at opportunities, you're creating a unique value stack that is going to be more valuable to the world.
Correct.
So for like us or me, my ability is I understand crypto. and I can speak about it simply. Usually, a lot of smart crypto people are far too smart and can't break it down. And,
Correct.
So that's the value stack.
Yeah.
Right, for you, it might be crypto, strategy, content, all the above, and vice versa. So by having that unique value stack, that's your impact on the world, and that's what's going to pay you.
Correct, and that's going to pay you many times.
Yeah.
And because and my team every year in our budget, every year I got a $20,000 budget to spend. Okay, because I put it in there so that I make myself have to spend the money. If my team asks you, how come you didn't spend the money? I'm accountable for it, right? So you have to make yourself that this $20,000 to spend in part of the budget. Go out and spend the money. So I'm trying to have my team now, each one will have a $5,000 budget, spend it. If you don't spend it, I'll begin yelling at you. What the hell are you doing, right? Because when you have that budget set in, which a lot of the business doesn't have, then how you can do your business development?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Because everything you're so worried about. And again, one of the things about Asian business is that Asian business culture is that be generous. That's one of our key things, right? Be generous. It doesn't matter, most of the time I take a client, so I pay for it. It's okay. Be generous about it. But be generous, because the more you start to stinge, then you're not going to get business. You're not going to do well. So I always tell a friend of mine was telling me, hey, you got such a big budget, do you think it's very expensive? I said, how much can you, if I bring the two of you to Naboo today, how much can you eat? $500, $600? So what is $500-$600 to me?
Yeah.
It's nothing compared to what we're going to get later on, right? Yeah. Through all the network, through all the relationship we're going to build from there, right? Yeah. $500. So what? Even they spend $1,000, I don't think we can finish the food anyway. so it's a lot of that, right? But that is where, spending the most important time that you have, and also be generous about your time. The other thing is generous about your time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you always get stuck in the operation, you never have time for your clients, for your friends, for your family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we talk about this, you don't need a huge, massive business to be able to do this. Like, I remember when we started together, Ben, you're like, I want $1 billion exit. I want this. I want that. I want that. And then eventually over time, like, okay, what do you really want? And it turns out to live the life you want is we don't need to make that much money in the business in order to do that. And this is one of your things as well, Ando. Like, you teach us in smaller businesses that it's more of an intentional choice to go down a path and structure your business this way for your life. It doesn't have to be a massive business.
Yeah, and business, I find it the bigger the business, the more complex you add into the business. So in business by design, I always say keep it simple. Keep your business very simple. Business should not be complicated, but people complex the business up because they added more noise in the business and everything else. Then they become very complex. But if you keep a business very simple, you can make a lot of money. So we have one of the business by design client. He's turning over $450,000 a year. But he's taking home $250,000. It's like, how good is that? What's the point of turning over $10 million and take home $250,000? That's a lot more shit you have to deal with, right?
We see that in EO. I see that in EO all the time. Like, wow, like you've got so much complexity.
Like in EO, there was revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king.
Yeah.
And that's like, when you say, like, when people meet you, they're like, oh, how much revenue do you do? It's like, who matters? Why does that matter? How many people do you have? Why does that matter? It's how much do I take home at the end of the day?
And how much free time I have, right?
Yeah.
But because people don't measure that. But if you measure that, this is the real stuff. No point in doing $100 million, $10 million, and you don't have a time for your family. You don't look after yourself. You don't have the time for your family. Everything's on the business. Then what are you enjoying?
People have this fallacy where I'm going to make all this money, I'm going to make this big sum, and then I'm going to enjoy my retirement. When you're in your 60, 65, like 70, whenever you retire, you're going to be very old. You're going to have multiple chronic illnesses. Your legs aren't going to work. You're not going to like travel the world and walk around everywhere. The whole idea that I've been fascinated with and what I'm implementing is bringing that forward.
Correct.
And it's seeing people like you that have actually done that and they're living that kind of retirement life now whilst doing the things they want to do and running a business.
Yeah, it's amazing once you start to do it this way. Because when I start to, like this year, my son is 18. So he's now in uni. He got his own car. He drives. All of a sudden, I call it, this is my second growth in my business because I got so much time, right? But because I reset my family right and everything else, this is the next stage of our growth. It's going to be a massive. It's going to be at least a 2 to 3x growth, because I got so much time left. I got so much time now. I can see all the opportunity that's built up. Like, oh shit, it's about what project do you want to take? I know there's a lot of things, right? But because I got time to do it. Whereas, my family comes from a business background. What I seen a lot of my uncles and all, they got big businesses. Is by the time when they turn 60s, the kids doesn't know them anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
They either divorce or they break up and everything else, and things go to pear shape. So they go into retirement very lonely. Okay, or they pass it on to the kids burn it off, burn their entire wealth in 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And then they reset back to zero again. So there's a lot of that. But to me let's get, again, back to your reverse engineering. Get it right at the beginning. Okay, what you want to achieve in 20 years from now, reverse engineer, so that you don't go down that path where a lot of them in their 50, 60, they divorce, new wife, new kids, are like, what are you doing? So that's very important. Or the kids doesn't want to know them and things like that. There's no point. What's the point of having all the money where you don't have family, you don't have anything left?
This was one of the key things as well. It's not just the time freedom and the wealth. The most important thing that you have is for me, and what I want and have now and want to continue, is the relationship you have with your son. Because you're not a distant parent, you're involved in his life, you're involving him in explaining things to business, going on adventures and things with him. And I remember you telling me, like, with your kids, you've got 18 summers, that's it.
Yeah. Correct.
And most business owners will not know their kids because they won't be around. And to me, being able to have wealth, time, freedom, health, but also spending time with my daughter is incredible. That's like the ultimate.
Correct. And that is one of those really, really good business mentor that I have. They tell me, you got 18 summers, don't mess it up. Okay, 18 summers with your kid. If you mess it up the 18 summers, okay, the kids, even know how much money you have, the kids doesn't want anything to do with you. All right. So because of that, I lost the first 6 summers because I was really busy in the business. But the rest of the 12 summers was like, okay, I'll become your basketball coach, managers, whatever, organizer and things like that. So I get involved a lot. And because I know that remaining time is the time to build the family foundation right.
Yeah.
Business will continue to grow. Don't get me wrong. We still got the team in and things like that, right? But once that is done, you build it for life. You build your kids for life after 18 summers. They'll stick with you for life. Then you can go and do anything you want to do. Like I said, there's all of a sudden the opportunity opens up. Yeah, there's so much business opportunity out there. It's like,
and now you're always thinking ahead, where you did EO and then eventually go to business by design. Like, okay, when I'm this age, my kid's going to be 18. They're probably going to move out. I need something to do. I have some more time.
Yeah.
Where do I want to be? And then if you hold off on a few of those, business things you're going to do, now you're older, you're more skilled, you can see things more clearly, and you've got more time to execute.
Yeah, you're more experienced, you have more time. You know that you can start we can start another business very quickly without making the same mistake that we make 20 years of experience. You don't need to make the same mistake. We're like, smash, bang, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you get the guy right on almost the first day, right?
Oh,
I think that's been the biggest unlock for me is learning this idea of like business is a vehicle to help you achieve the things in life.
Yeah.
It's not the thing. It's a thing to help you get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same for people in crypto and investing. It's like crypto is a way to get to what you want to do in life. But again, the biggest mistake people make when investing in crypto is not selling, and they round trip cycles because they don't have a goal. They don't know why they're in crypto. They're just hoping for this massive number.
Yeah.
And there's not really thinking about what it could actually do for your life.
They forget the actual goal. The measure becomes the goal. Right? And when a measure becomes a goal, it's a bad outcome, right? Like if I want this number or I want this in business, it's like, no, you're doing that so you have whatever you need, time or capital, to then live your life.
Yeah. And investing in crypto is the same as investing in your business. It is over time.
Yeah.
It's not on a steroid, right? It's like sugar hit, right? It's not sugar because I always advise, I always tell people, if you're in crypto, if you think it's a sugar hit, don't. Because you're going to go cry.
Oh, yeah. Okay? You get wrecked.
You're going to get wrecked. You're going to lose a lot of things. Yeah. Because crypto, changes within 20% each and every few hours, right? It can be fluctuation 20%. But if you can't ride through those, roller coaster.
Yeah.
You know, it's worse than the share market. Share market might drop 3% tomorrow I come back, right? But this one is fluctuating such a big. If you don't have the appetite, don't get involved because it's actually a long-term stuff. And the important thing, like collective shift, you guys produce a lot of the research. Use the research to help you make a decision. And I always tell people, you cannot treat crypto like going to the casino and put a bet. All right?
Yeah.
That's it.
So and crypto is not a gambling. There's a fine line between gambling and investment. Okay?
we see this in business too. We saw it with some of the people in our EO forum. It's like, well, the decision you're making, it's like it feels like gambling.
Yeah. You try not to go into the. It's a very fine line between gambling and investment, right? But I think one of the key thing between gambling and investment is time.
Yeah.
All right? Is time, is how much can you afford? All right? Because how much can you afford in terms of cash, in terms of fun, in terms of time. If I want to have a quick win in casino or playing crypto, if I don't have the time to hold up, and I don't have the money to hold up, I'm in shit, right?
You're done.
Yeah.
And I'm done. I can wipe out very quickly, right? But if I have the time and the money to invest, I say, all right, I put 50,000 on crypto. I don't really care. Leave it. If it goes up, great. If it goes down, I'm able to hold it. And then I get a few, all this the subscription from you guys on your membership. Look at it. Okay, put 50,000. Where should I put it? A subscription will come in. These are the places to put it in. I'll put it in, and then keep an eye on it. And on the from time to time, how it's up. It's okay.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's important because we sometimes need to be very clear. Are we gambling or are we investing?
I always take that long-term view with my investing, but I remember you saying to me in the business, you're like, Aaron, do you want to be in business for 1 year or do you want to be in business for 50 years?
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, better start making some better decisions. Because we also underestimate what we can achieve in 1 year. Overestimate what we can achieve in 1 year and underestimate what we can achieve in 10.
Correct. Because a lot of business is sugar hit, right? Sugar high, and then after they disappear. But for me, a good business is about building legacy. Building where whether you retire at 35 or 45, you have passive income coming in. That's the whole idea of having the business by design. Design your business to give you passive income, regardless of what age you want to be. All right? And then you can enjoy the time you have. And if you are young, like 35, 40, you still got plenty of time to enjoy having a family and everything else, right? So, but some people start business on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
And then they're starting to unwind a lot. It's like, I think there's a lot more.
What an awesome place to end.
Yeah, that was epic. I think just the realness is like, getting past ego, getting past like numbers, getting past the fancy shit, and just going, what do I actually want to do? And I think for all of us, it's time and freedom. And I think for a lot of people listening, a lot of people fucking hate what they do. A lot of people want to get to a certain number so they can quit their jobs or earn an income. And I think sometimes it's actually like far closer than what you probably think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And and investment is a lot of things, crypto and all those things. They are great vehicles, but you just need to know, write it out when to exit, right? I think last I talked about a lot about what's your exit strategy, right?
Yeah. That's the thing, like know which game you're playing.
Yeah, totally. Ando, thank you so much, man. Where can people find your stuff? Where can people, your newsletter, all that sort of thing? Where can people find you?
They can go to my Business by Design website. It says www.businessxdesign.com.au.
Awesome, man. And we'll put that link in the description.
Cracking bi-weekly newsletter. It cracks me up every time. And you read the stories like, shit, you see yourself in the stories. Absolute great sign up. I always copy and paste them and send them to
you send them to me. I'm like,
Ben, this is you.
I'm like, fuck, that's me. Ando, that was awesome, man. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed this, have a business friend, have anyone that you think would find it valuable, please share it with them. That's how we grow the podcast each and every week. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Andrew. And thanks, champions, for listening.
Excellent.